at the War Memorial Auditorium in Fort Lauderdale. Ring of Honor is here. Look at this. Caprice Coleman of the Cabinet.
Are we live?
This guy is great. Caprice, for you, you were born in Jamaica, Queens, New York.
Right.
But you were raised in T-Town, North Carolina?
Absolutely.
North Carolina is, well, New York is as well, but both are great wrestling areas.
Absolutely.
What was it like for you growing up? Big wrestling fan, and then how did you get started in wrestling?
Man, I've been a wrestling fan pretty much all my life. I remember when I was like 3 years old, I turned on the TV and I saw Dusty Rhodes, and he was feuding with Barry Windham, and he had this feud. It was called like the Devil in the Boot. And like I remember 3 years old, like I had to know what was going on with the Devil in the Boot, and I was hooked ever since. And I would say that at that time I became a huge wrestling fan, but it wasn't until the Cruiserweight division in WCW, the feud between Brian Pillman and Juice and Thunder Liger, where I went from being a huge wrestling fan to where I was like, I think I can do this. And ever since then, man, I've been following it, and I've been a huge fan, still a huge fan, and I think I'm pretty good at it as well.
Caprice, when you go from that fan to now I want to become a pro wrestler, did you have an athletic background growing up? And then how do you get started as a pro wrestler?
I did. I wrestled all the way through school. I played minor league football or whatever as a kid, but I was when everybody else grew, I stopped growing. So when I got to high school, I was too small to play football because like when my freshman year, I weighed like 120. No, I didn't even weigh 100 pounds. My freshman year, I wrestled 103, but I weighed 75 pounds. My senior year, I wrestled 119, but I never had to cut weight. So when I graduated from high school, I weighed like 125 pounds. So I was always small. I didn't have my growth spurt until I was in my 20s. That's why I look so young. I'm telling you, so pretty. But I had a late growth spurt, and after I graduated high school, I was out at a regular store, and I saw some guys putting up some flyers for a local wrestling event, and it happened to be where the Hardy Boyz were, and it wasn't Omega at the time. It was like New Frontier Wrestling Alliance. And I wanted to train, and they brought me in, and I started with them as a referee because, like I said, I was really small. And then after training with them about a year, I had put on about 40 pounds, and they were like, "Hey, we think you're ready." Started after that.
Now, going through with this Omega, so many people know about Omega with Shane Helms and the Hardys, just everybody that was all part of that and all. For you, what do you remember about Omega, and what do you think about just the cult-like positive following that Omega ended up having after the fact?
I think at the beginning we didn't know what we had. I think it was definitely Matt's idea at the beginning. He literally had a dream. He came to practice Sunday, and he was talking about how he had a dream about Omega, and I was like Organization of Modern Extreme Grappling Arts, and we was kind of like, oh, okay, kind of laughed it off, but he was serious about it and changed everything up, and basically like we were the luchadors of America. You know, everybody was very athletic and all, and we didn't think much of it until like we saw the fan base just continue to rise, and after that, even I look back at it now, we was like we were the frontier of a new era. You know, there was a lot of things that we started that nobody did until we did it. You know, we mixed luchador, Mexican wrestling, and ECW together. You know, and man, we were doing backflips off tables through fire. It was crazy. But it was Matt's dream child, and we just continued to go with it.
Caprice, as you're going around and traveling and doing this, what makes you enjoy doing what you do?
Oh man, I think, you know, anytime you can do what you love to do and get paid at it, you know, that's one thing. But then to become successful at it to where it's all you do, I believe it's nothing but a blessing, man. There's so many people that go their whole life wondering what they're supposed to be doing, what I was created for, and all. And but to find it and to be able to make a living at it and be good at it, it's nothing but a blessing. So I feel blessed every day that I'm healthy enough to be able to perform, to do what I do, and I enjoy it.
Caprice, you're a minister, correct?
Yeah.
And you're also part of the Christian Wrestling Federation.
Mm-hmm.
How important has that spirituality been to you and the religion aspect of life and growing up?
I think it's huge in the aspect. I pretty much grew up in the church, and I've been a preacher since I was called a preacher when I was like 14 years old, and I was ordained when I was like in my I got my license when I was in my late 20s. I got ordained in my early 30s. But I believe that is the foundation of me being able to stay in this sport as long as I have, because I'll be 40 in March. But by the grace of God, I don't look it, and my body is healthy. I believe because of my faith, the choices that I make of things not to do has allowed a longevity in what I do. And I turn that all to my faith. I turn that all to by the grace of God, me still being able to perform at the level that I do at the age that I am, and still look the way that I do. So I believe it's the secret. It's the fountain of youth.
Anytime you could have God and Jesus on your side, that is awesome. The Christian Wrestling Federation, is this something that you started?
No.
Or no, someone else started this and you've been involved in it?
Yeah, it was started in Dallas, Texas. Rob Vaughn is the founder of the Christian Wrestling Federation, and it's actually a ministry that's still going. Actually, was talking to Rob this week, but it's a ministry that's been going on for over 15 years, and they've had well over 2,000 people commit that give themselves their lives to Christ at the show. We have it's a wrestling show, but the wrestlers there are Christians, and we have basically a regular wrestling show, but before intermission we have somebody give testimony, and then after the main event we have like a message or whatever, and the message is basically around faith. And we have an altar call, and you would be surprised at the people that won't go to a church but that come to a wrestling match. And when they hear the message, they come up and their lives are changed, and we're able to keep in contact with them. And we've had a lot of people come through there as far as wrestling stars, and you'd be surprised a lot of these stars that are Christian that come through there, and they're able to continue to spread the word wherever you go. It's kind of like a light on you when you're one of the only Christians in the locker room. But the funny thing is that you're never the only Christian in the locker room. You're just that light that gives other people enough boldness to say, hey, I'm one of them too. And then when they're not, it's not like, oh God, he's a Christian. It's like when you're able to live in front of people and they say, wow, this guy's a Christian, but he's still able to do the same things I do, and he does it with integrity. Maybe I could do that too. It's kind of like being a beacon in a place where there's not a lot of beacons at.
Well, that's the thing too, because you mentioned that there are a lot of Christians out there, but they may not be so outlandish about it or stand out about it. So when you're traveling and doing the shows, I'm curious, do you do a little prayer with some of the boys or girls before shows, or not necessarily that?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. We even here at Ring of Honor, recently, maybe a couple months ago, I was approached to say a little prayer before the show or whatever, and it was just a couple, maybe 2 or 3 guys. We would kind of pray before the show. It's kind of something we did. But now
everyone could do it on their own. It's up to them, right?
But now that group went from like 3 people to where we have 20 people in the circle sometime, to where they pray before the show, and it's continuing to get bigger. And it'll be people get injured, and the first thing they come to me, not that I'm somebody, but there are people that come to that we pray. We people have questions and whatever, we talk to, and I have one-on-one conversations with people and all. And I think it's part of my ministry to where you're not always gonna go out quoting wherever you go, but I believe behind the scenes is where most of the ministry should be done anyway. Things that people don't see, that helps people along in their life. And I think that's what true ministry is. It's not always in the four corner worship. It's outside of that really makes the impact. People hear sermons all the time, but when they see it, it's really impactful.
That's interesting, Caprice. I also think too, people that are going to the church, everyone's normal, everyone makes mistakes, does good, does bad, and overcome that. But if you could reach somebody who's not actually going to the church every week or something like that, I think that's an even bigger goal or success, to be able to do something like that. How do you feel about where people can go on social media if they want to find out about you, or even if they want to find out about any of the ministries or things going on there?
They put in Christian Wrestling Federation. They could definitely type that in, and that pops up. I'm on Twitter at Caprice Coleman. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of those. I have the Facebook page. Christian Wrestling Federation is huge. I mean, you type it in. There's some that are people that try to do the same thing, but once you type in Christian Wrestling Federation, it's out of Rockwell, Texas, Dallas, Texas area. You have the right one, and it's no mistake about it.
Caprice, for those that don't know, and I don't know, who are some of the talent that have been on the Christian Wrestling Federation shows?
Okay. We've had the Road Warriors was big. Ted DiBiase, Rock Roll Express, Tony Atlas, Elijah Burke, Tyrone Evans, Lodi. Man, we have guys that come in all the time. AJ Styles is actually the one that got me into Christian Wrestling Federation, because they called him before they called me, and he's the one who put my name in the hat. AJ Styles. I'm sure I'm missing a lot of names, but if you go to the website, you'll see like a lot of the headers they have, and I think I'm one of the headers. I might be a header. Maybe.
And we'll wrap it up with the cabinet. All right, so what can you tell us about the cabinet here in Ring of Honor, Caprice?
The cabinet is making wrestling great again. I think it's a great fitting time for now, but I think the cabinet's a little upset because the respect that we've been looking for, we haven't been getting. So I think we have to make a louder cry for, not even a cry, a louder statement for people to hear. And I believe the statement that we're going to make very soon will not fall on deaf ears.
Caprice Coleman, thank you so much.
Thank you. Chip!